Good, right?
Yeah, you all set? Close. Mr. Franklin. Welcome everyone to the zoning board of June 7th, March, June, I want my vote in. June 7th.
March
March 7th, June 7th. I got June in my head for today for some reason. That's because we were talking about all sorts of things. Welcome, everybody. If you got a cell phone or a pager, could you please put it on vibrate or silent, not to interrupt the meeting. If you're gonna speak, please step outside. My name is Marty Akins. I'm the chairman, it's the vice chairman. Mr. Radell, board members, Mr. Himmel, Mr. Chin, Mr. O'Brien, and Mr. Frankel. The Director of Inspectional Service, Mr. Connell behind me, and Ms. Noonan is our clerk. If anyone's gonna testify tonight, please stand up and raise your right hand. Take an oath. If you could, Mr. Chin.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing? You do.
On the old business, ZBA 2885, Robert Burns, for a variance finding to demolish the existing structure, multiple properties, construct 46-unit residential building premises number 1234 to 1244, Fernsbrook Parkway, and 211 and 217 Copeland Street. I'm gonna turn the chair over to my vice chair, since he ran the last meeting and he can run with it. Mr. Radell, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Rob Fleming from Fleming & Fleming. I do represent the applicant here, Mr. Beniers. With me this evening are Mr. Beniers and his son, Bob, who's been very involved with this project as well. Our team is here as well, if you have any specific questions for them. Cameron Campbell from DeSelberg Sala is our engineer. Brian Donahue, you all know Brian from Donahue Architects. Jason DeGray is here from Tool Design, who is our traffic engineer. So questions for them, feel free to ask them as well. So we were here back in November 22 for our initial presentation before this board. Mr. Akins, for whatever reason, was not here that particular evening. So I'm going to give you a kind of a recap of what this proposal is. So it does involve a number of parcels, really at the intersection, close to the intersection of Fernsbrook Parkway and Copeland Street. It is comprised of several parcels, including 1234 Fernsbrook Parkway, 1244 Fernsbrook Parkway, 211 Copeland, and 216, I think it is, 217 Copeland as well. So quite a few parcels as you make your way around that corner. The entire area, lot itself, all lots are zone residence B, which does allow for multifamily residences. There today are a number of uses. We have two families and singles, mostly multi. Mr. Beniers, some of you may know him. He's been a real pillar here in the city of Quincy for youth sports. He ran Beacon Sporting Goods for a number of years. Myself, as I skated back in the day, had my own skate shop in there as well. So he's been a true asset to the city of Quincy with his business, with his properties here, raised his family here in the city of Quincy as well. So I hope the board will not look at Mr. Beniers as just your typical developer here, making this, proposing this particular residential structure here. He cares about the city. He would not do anything that's going to be a real detriment to the city. So what he's proposing here is 46 residential units. I think it's split evenly, 23 two-bedrooms, 23 one-bedrooms as well. 2 levels of parking under the building. And let me just say this, we really approach this with a lot of things in mind. This really wasn't done haphazardly. There's a lot of things you think about. One being the location of this proposal, where it is. It's on Fernsbrook Parkway, Copeland Street. There's no, doesn't provide any area on both of those streets for any off-site parking. So that's how we really approached it. from a standpoint of parking, you know, and the number of units that we have, can we meet the requirement here in the city of Quincy? You know, which we have met. You know, that was very important to us to be able to fit every single car that we need to, that's required by this ordinance on site. What we looked at as well was very important, and I've done a couple other developments with the same thing in mind. With our society today, you know, with the Ubers, the Amazons, deliveries, you know, UPS and FedEx and those things, to provide that, especially on First Park Parkway, to be able to provide that drive up, you know, to the building, to be able to accommodate those things. You know, especially Amazon today, you know, a lot of deliveries and things. So we've been able to do that as well. What was very important to us as well is, you know, with the size of the site, it's a little over 53,000 square feet in dimension, so over an acre. It is to provide some nice landscape as well, to comply as much as we're able to, and we have, based on the size of this building, the setbacks, you know, so we're complying with a lot of that as well. So that was very important to us, but, you know, it started with the parking, you know, what can we do? When we were here in November, when it was opened up to the public, you know, there were some concerns by some neighbors, you know, mainly with respect to traffic. This particular proposal, as this board knows, went through the very thorough process, which you all understand, site plan review before the planning board. As you know, this proposal is thoroughly reviewed by every single department within the city of Quincy, a peer review consultant as well that looks at everything, you know, from drainage, you know, to parking, to site circulation, other things as well, zoning. The city's traffic engineer as well looked at this too. Did they have comments? They did, you know, and comments that we had to respond to, and we did that. Were they comments that were quite a bit? No, they really weren't. There were certainly some concerns, and we've answered those and responded to those. All those comments by those departments and individuals satisfactory to them. So we do have site plan approval through our planning board here in the city of Quincy before we came here. We're asking here from this board some dimensional relief to be able to build this proposal. But again, the most important point is, you know, Mr. Beniers is a longtime Quincy resident. He certainly does not want to do something that's going to be a detriment. You know, we listen to the professionals, what works at this location. We think we have a great project here, and we would appreciate your consideration this evening. So again, the entire time is here. Again, you've had the traffic data. I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to review some of that, you know, as well. The other one request the board had made back in November to have a subsequent neighborhood meeting. We had one in December of 21. So this has been going on for some time. The only change that was made from December 21, Mr. Beniers had acquired another property on Copeland, 211 specifically, that allowed us to move the egress ingress further up away from the light at Copeland Street, which was kind of stressed by the planning department as well. You know, so we were able to do that. Regardless, we did have another neighborhood meeting in January of this year. Some of the same people attended. I felt we had a good neighborhood meeting. They certainly conveyed their concerns to us, mainly with respect to traffic. It was a cordial meeting. We had a great meeting, but they had their concerns. And I can't convince anybody, you know, that you know, this proposal will not exacerbate any conditions that are there at that particular intersection. I'm not here to convince anybody. I listened to our professionals. You know, you're looking at, and Jason can get into this a little bit further as well, but you're looking at a 16 vehicle count during peak hours, you know, over that entire hour, you know, so it's really not, you know, adding that much to that area. You know, so we feel comfortable with what's being proposed here in a lot of different respects. But again, I know you have a lot of items on your agenda tonight, so I don't want to take up too much time, but our professionals are here if you have any specific questions with respect to anything, really.
Yeah, thank you, Council. Can we just grab your ear for a few?
This is Jason DeGray.
Evening, Jason DeGray, Tool Design. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Sure. I know that you guys had some, so.
Yeah, last time we were here, it was gonna be 60% one bedroom, 40% two bedrooms, and now Tony Fleming says it's 50-50. Has that changed?
Well, that would be for him, but this is on the traffic. He
Okay.
just,
I'm pretty sure, I'd have to review the video, but I'm pretty sure it was, I had conveyed to the board, it was always 50-50. You know, so it was 23 two bedrooms and 23 one bedrooms. If I misspoke, I don't think I would have given the 60-40, on a count. But I'm pretty sure that, you know, it's always been the 23.
Okay.
Yeah, even, yeah. Sorry about that if I
That's okay.
misspoke.
do you want to just have
Yeah.
him give a general overview, and then we can, if you have any
Right.
questions to ask? So,
Yeah.
traffic.
Traffic.
Yeah, I had one question for him.
Okay, yeah, if you don't mind, Jason, if you could just give us just a, give us the highlights, because the room didn't hear it, we read the survey, so.
Okay.
You know, I think that was the biggest concern that we heard, you know, the last meeting.
So just a basic summary of the
Yeah,
traffic
yeah, if you
impact
don't
today.
mind. Yeah,
So Tool Design conducted a trip generation assessment. The triggers that would warrant larger traffic studies were not met with the program of the project development. We coordinated with the city's traffic engineer to understand, you know, the interest in terms of what the scope of that undertaking would be. And it was requested that we develop a trip generation assessment, which would be, you know, quantifying the amount of vehicular traffic that the site would generate. In addition to conducting a site distance analysis of the proposed access and egress points to the site to ensure they meet the standards for, you know, safe access and egress, as well as, you know, conducting a site visit and, you know, doing a general review of the overall conditions to the area. We did conduct traffic counts at the intersection of Copeland and Furnace Brook, and I just want to make sure I get that date correct. So those were conducted in May 18th of 2022, while school was in session. And ultimately, conducting that trip generation analysis, which is prescribed methodology that's put forth by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, that takes into account the type of development and a litany of data collection that occurs throughout the country that allows us to essentially extrapolate out what proposed developments would generate for vehicular traffic. We did that for the development type. Ultimately, the total trip generation for the site, which was vetted and also acknowledged by the city's independent peer review consultant, would be during the morning peak hour, a total of 16 vehicle trips. In the afternoon peak hour, the evening peak hour, a total of 21 vehicle trips. That is the combination of both the entering and exiting traffic at both locations. So at any given location, the activity would be less than that. For instance, the exiting traffic in the morning would be 12 vehicles exiting in total from either driveway. So approximately one vehicle every 5 minutes. In terms of the entering traffic in the evening, it would be of a similar condition. It's 13, so again, it's be one every 5 minutes.
and that's during the peak hour.
That's at the peak hour. Total increase in traffic to the intersections would be 1% or less in terms of the total overall, you know, traffic that's passing through the intersection at that peak hour. So the total numbers there are 17 to 1,800, give or take, vehicles in the hour that pass through that entire intersection. We're talking total trips that this site would contribute 16 to 20, so it's, you know, not even a 1% in at least one of those peak hours. The safety assessment for the site distance showed that necessary site distance for either a vehicle that's traveling along the street needing to stop, for a vehicle that's exited the site and in the travelway, as well as site distance for vehicles exiting the site to perceive traffic and execute a acceptable maneuver, are all met and all well in excess of those minimum requirements. So essentially, that was what our assessment stated. And again, that was all put forth to the independent peer review, which essentially acknowledged as well.
Appreciate that. Any questions?
Yeah. You say 16 cars peak. So what do you contribute that to with the cars that are there? Is it people working home, not working, what is it?
Well, primarily the trips being generated by residential development would be trips that are associated with, working back, particularly during the peak hour. Those non-work trips are primarily take place off the peak hour. So the activity that you see at peak hour are journey to work trips. And I would note that those rates are all pre-pandemic generated. So you're talking the rates that these sites would develop for, work trips prior to the current, state of the pandemic and the hybrid work environment.
So are we talking like 18 to 20 now? I don't know.
No, it actually would be lower if you extrapolate out what the patterns are seeing post-pandemic, where people are working from home, those trip generation rates are lower. And it was acknowledged by the peer review consultant that our numbers are actually slightly conservative based on what we're seeing taking place nowadays.
Thank you.
I mean, between 4 and 6 o'clock, it doesn't appear to me, I go up that section a lot, and it doesn't appear that there's less traffic than pre-pandemic. So,
What, are you talking about what the impact of a residential unit would, it's not,
no, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it, pre-pandemic, I think, but post-pandemic, I'm not buying that, it's too low. At
Well-
46 units.
Yeah, I don't want to characterize the actual traffic that's at the site, mostly making the point of people are going to and from work less now than they were pre-pandemic.
Thanks.
Yep, you answered one of my questions, which was whether there was any change from 10 months ago when you did the report to today. And I think your conclusion is that actually you must be conservative in your numbers.
That's correct.
Second question I have, I don't know if you can answer it or whether the architect should, but if you foresee a bottleneck or any kind of backup, where would that be on this site?
In terms of within the site or external to the site?
Well, as the site, as people are ingressing and egressing from the street.
I don't see necessarily any circumstances that would give rise to concern that's really any different than, multitude of locations throughout the city of Quincy. Anytime you're looking at a traffic signal, you have queues that are generated with a traffic signal that extend back, obviously, some distance. Those queues clear during the time that the cycle, is operating, so, my concern as the traffic engineer who's, practicing this is essentially zero. I mean, there's not a condition here that I see that really raises any red flags. When there's a traffic that's trying to execute a maneuver that's confronted with a queue, you may be storing that vehicle on the site for a longer period of time as the signal kind of works through its progression and the queue's clear and then the vehicle exits. Other cases where a left is turning into the site, you may have to wait for, a gap to materialize, but that generally is accommodated in routine conditions at, countless locations throughout the city and in the region.
Thank you.
Just for clarification purposes, the current peak conditions in that intersection is 1,700 vehicles, plus or minus.
Plus or minus.
per hour.
No, at peak, which is different from like 10:30.
If we want to get the exact numbers,
Yeah,
I'll tell
peak
you.
hour, yeah, like for like,
Between the rush hour, coming in
Right.
and going home,
yeah,
3-hour rush hour, 6 to 9, 5, whatever. right?
whatever, but that's
3 to 6.
1,700 cars are in that intersection during the peak hour,
Yes.
which is roughly go to work time and come home time.
Yes,
Okay, and you're gonna add approximately 17 in that intersection at that time.
approximately, yes.
And technically, could that be handled by retiming those signals if it became necessary?
If it
Or
became
is there-
necessary, I will say that the city traffic engineer, the signal is under, the jurisdiction of the Department of Conservation and Recreation. We coordinated with both with the city of Quincy's traffic engineer and DCR's interpretation, and they are recently retimed that location, are very pleased with its current operation. They essentially said they don't want to change it, it's operating as well as they see fit. But theoretically, if something had to happen, yes, it's a, simple retirement.
And you've already been through DCR for your permit, for your driveway? That's all cleared? Or are you gonna use an existing driveway just wait permit?
That I will turn back
Yeah.
to the rest
that's right.
of the team in terms of, interactions with DCR.
Well, I read something here that said they were gonna cooperate with DCR to make sure that the
terms of
you
the
have to
signal-
apply for a driveway permit.
Well, the comment was specific towards the operations of the signal, in terms of a permit requirement for access and egress, that I'll defer to the rest of the team. In terms of the coordination of the signal operations and their comfort level with it, that has occurred, and they are, in
They've approved that they're okay with
they're
it,
okay with it.
and they're willing to make the adjustments should need be.
Yeah, the city and DCR routinely, monitor their equipment and will be making those adjustments as necessary, independent of this project, but, down the road, if they do see something that.
But the
needs to
project,
change.
any impact that the project has on them will be accounted for at some point.
Right,
When they're doing a traffic count
yes,
and an intersection evaluation.
yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll sit.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else we wanna ask yet? You guys comfortable?
I'm good.
All right, thank you. Do we have any, other new testimony?
No, you got a new correspondence from DPW that's coming.
New correspondence dated February 9th, 2023. We have reviewed the submittal for the above referenced project, and our comments are as follows. 1, specify how much impervious area will be increased due to the development. 2, provide plans showing the layout of utility, grading, drainage, and the construction details. 3, the submittal package should generally provide a plan denoting the proposed erosion and sediment control practices to be implemented during the construction phase of the project, to protect resource areas. And 4, please provide a profile view of all proposed buildings to be located in LSCSF. Some form of flow-through foundation should be implemented to ensure that storage of floodwaters is not displaced onto adjacent roadways and properties. Thank you. If you can just have a seat, we're still going through this.
Oh, okay. I recognize a lot of that wording.
Sorry. No, that's the next project, sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Sorry, jumping the gun here. So we took testimony on this back in November, but I know we have a newly elected city councilor. Is there anything you'd like to say, Mr. Devine, councilor? Do you want to speak at all on behalf of the
come on up
neighborhood?
and say hi to everybody. Hey, hey. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Clearly, this is, very heated with the neighborhood. They feel very strongly that it's too dense. Almost the majority of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that, some people reached out about trees. They want to make sure that there's the adequate amount of tree or shrub or any type of wetland type vegetation that can absorb more water. Some people have reached out to the fact that it's too many single units, that it should be more two bedrooms as opposed to singles. Some other people have reached out about bicycle issues. Since there's supposedly gonna be less people not using cars is what we hear, that they're working from home. One person said they'd like to see some type of facility that would hold bicycles, that would be seasonal to keep them safe and protected. And then, as far as traffic, I heard the gentleman here with his statement about, it's a speculation about whether or not it's less traffic. I'd prefer that we went with facts, and if we're gonna talk about traffic studies, we should just go on what the traffic study said, not on speculation as to whether there's less or more pre or post-COVID. And then other people would like to see right-hand turns only coming outside of the properties so that they're not going across. And also some type of painted box or where they come out so that somebody, if they're taking a right-hand turn to get in, they're not obstructed, so we'd have some signs that says do not block. And I have some other constituent asked me to speak for them, but I'll speak for them at opposition, they're opposing, is that when I would do it?
We're not taking any additional testimony, because we already heard the testimony on the project. There was no changes, so I just gave you the opportunity to speak for the neighborhood, you know?
Oh, okay,
So
thank you very
Typically,
much.
we don't like, we wouldn't take additional testimony at this time, you know?
Okay, I
Um,
appreciate that, thank you very much. So, yeah, so some constituents are really upset about traffic and the density of the project.
If you wanna speak about your friend that opposed, that's fine, go ahead.
Veronica Bertrand, she spoke, she's opposed to it. She was speaking for some of her condominium associates too, and they're saying that, you know, it went from 42 to 46. She was confused as why it jumped up a few more units, and then also Patricia Mortimer is against it. I don't know, was it 42 at some point?
It was after the purchase of the property. I touched on that since our last neighborhood meeting. Mr. Beniers had acquired 211 Copeland as well, moving the egress to the site off of Copeland further away from the
Oh,
intersection.
yeah.
You know, so that's when, you know.
Yeah, when we added the additional units.
So to
in the
balance the
parking.
cost, we added a few more units
Yeah,
at that time.
She
yeah,
just asked me
yeah.
to say that, and so I was repeating what she had asked.
Yeah,
So this is,
She particularly likes Mr. Bertrand. You know, he is a friend, but she said she was speaking for other people also. And Patricia Mortimer of Rogers Street is also opposed to the density of it.
I appreciate it, Counselor.
Thank you.
Congratulations again.
no, I would go through that right there, letters from the DPW.
We already did that, yeah. we already did that. Counselor Mahoney looks like she has one. Please.
I could say a quick thing to the trees, if you know, obviously there's a tree ordinance here, which we
Right.
will certainly comply with. We do have a tree plan as well, and it's the Furnace Parkway driveway, and that end of the building, where some trees will be removed. But we have quite a bit of landscape area, for the proposed site, you know, so those would, a lot of them will be replaced.
We discussed that in the drainage
Okay.
back in November.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Yep.
thanks.
All right, so, that one in here.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you very much for letting me come up. I think there's a lot of people in the audience that are disappointed that they can't come up and speak because they were at the public hearing that they had. And I want to include also former council person Brian Pamucci was at that public hearing, and he spoke against this project because it was too dense and too big. And as we all know, Council Pamucci very really did actually speak out against something, and when he did, I know this board listened. I know he's not an elected official anymore, but I just want to make sure that you understand that he's a Ward 4 resident that was speaking out against the size of this property. I also want to mention that over on Copeland Street, I believe it was, is the gray unit, it was approved at the planning board for a much larger size, and when it came here, this ZBA board downsized it. I think it was approved for 8, and it was downsized to, I believe, 4 or 5. I can't remember, but it was downsized, even though it was approved at the planning board. So even though they're coming up here saying, oh, the planning board thinks it's great, and we did everything they said, and we haven't come back and we haven't downsized in the size of this, because we think it's a great development. I want to remind you what the ZBA, all of you said when they came before you on 11/29/22. It was in the Quincy Sun, it's direct quotes from this board, and they are coming back with the exact same plan. Concerns about the size of the development. Seems like we were taken back by the size of this development. I'm not quite sure if these are legitimate requests for variances. We don't have a traffic study, which you got, which I think if we actually go to the date, and I'd like to know the date, what was the date of that traffic study? I'm not sure what's going on.
Back in May of 2022.
What day? Not day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Typically, it'll be a Tuesday, Wednesday, I can't confirm.
So it was a Wednesday, and that's an early release day for schools. So, you know, these are the things that we have to pay attention to. So if we're gonna do a traffic study, and we're gonna tell you that it's got a low impact to it, we're standing in front of you, everybody thinks it's great, Wednesdays are early release days, it's not a typical day, so I just wanna make sure we are aware of that. The green space, there doesn't seem to be way less green space than it should be. Minimum dwelling is less than it should be. It's too big and it's too dense. These are all quotes that came from the ZBA. These are your quotes that I'm quoting to you. Nothing has changed in this plan. The public is not being allowed to come up and speak. When we're talking about the number of traffics and how when you go into the unit, you know, you might have to wait in a queue to get into the units because of the traffic that is there. These are real concerns, and we are impacting the people who live in the city. And I appreciate the fact that the person who's developing it was a business person in the city of Quincy. I also frequented the store. But that does not mean when we come before you, somehow we take the rules off the table because they were good business people. These are impacts that are gonna happen to our community, and they have to be looked at individually without bias as to who is coming before you. This project is too big. Your concerns are real. Your quotes that you had in the paper were yours. They have not changed. They have not brought anything before you to make it less dense. I am concerned with the things that are happening here in the city of Quincy. And we have to be fair about what we're doing. And we cannot say, well, you know, traffic down in other areas the same way. 0% impact to traffic, that is alone should be questionable to everybody that's in this room. We are creating that traffic when we say yes to these variances. I believe that there should be something at that development, at that site, but 46 units are too big. We're before you tonight. I ask you to do the math. What can they have there by right? I asked the ZBA, can you answer that question for me? No? 12. And that's the math that we should be
That's
doing.
not,
That's the math that we should be doing.
50,000 square feet.
Divided by what?
That math, no.
Divided by
It's
6,500.
It's like 26.
Do the math. Thank you.
So we did let people speak. I want to be clear that the board did allow for testimony. We took testimony in the last meeting in November, and that's typically what we do. When we passed on, there was no material changes in the plans. We asked them to present some additional information, and we took said information. So that is how, you know, we typically operate. So we're here to make a decision based on the information that we've been presented, so. Thoughts, opinions?
We're not able to speak in support if we weren't able to speak last time at all.
No, we're not gonna take any additional testimony tonight, thank you.
I can just say a quick word. The traffic report, we had in the community meetings, we have raised certain concern and forwards.
Sir,
They didn't say anything.
sir, that, I appreciate it, I don't know your expertise on a traffic study, so we're gonna trust what we've been presented here tonight.
Attorney Fleming, are these condos, last time it seemed to be up in the air whether they're gonna be condos or apartments. Do
You know,
has that
you
been
know,
clarified?
a lot of times it's market driven, you know, but certainly, it's, the intention is condominiums, yes,
Thanks.
yep.
I thought that was already, I thought they already said it was.
I don't think they were clear or knew what they were looking for, so. Thoughts, opinions? Ma'am, we've taken testimony, thank you.
I just have a question. We were not informed about this meeting.
The meeting's been, it's
It's been rescheduled twice, and we didn't get any information on the mail, so maybe more people were interested in participating.
So in November, the meeting was advertised to the abutters list. It was also, a whole mailing was sent
Yeah,
into
it
the.
has been changed
into the-
twice. We have this letter on the mail, and it has been changed twice, this meeting. So people that might be interested in participating is not here, and even we don't have chance to speak as you mentioned.
Again, we've taken
Did you watch
testimony.
the community meeting? Because he's painting it as going very differently than it did.
Ma'am,
There were some
I'm
real
gonna ask you
concerns
guys to
based
sit
on
down.
that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
understand that. I understand that. You know,
I
again,
think we should be able to speak.
that's not the process that we use. so.
I will say the councilor spoke for you all, and he said everyone's against the project. I think he made that loud and clear.
Thoughts?
Truthfully, I think it's an entrance into Quincy, and I really like it. I think that's gonna clean up a lot of mess down there, and it is a mess. That is a mess down there, and it looks ugly. When you come into Quincy, we need something there, whether it be this or not, I don't know, but we need something there that looks nice, like that, so that's the way I feel. You guys, everyone's got their own opinion, it's just you come into Quincy and you're gonna see that, it's
Well, I think the amount of traffic there, you're gonna spend a lot of time looking at it, whatever.
I mean, the most benign, can we hold the applause? Thank you. the most benign use of any site is gonna be, the traffic is gonna be residential.
Oh, agreed, but how much?
No, I know, I mean, it only less than 1%, according to the expert.
Yeah, my opinion is that planning has reviewed this thoroughly. We have a traffic study that's been done. I've reviewed every word of it. Had an opportunity to ask the gentleman if there are any updates or any changes. There is gonna be something there. It should be residential. That would be the least impactful use of that site. So, this applicant has touched all the bases as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. O'Brien?
The biggest discussion that we had from the very meeting was the traffic issues. The traffic that's there today is the traffic that's there today. Adding 17 cars to 1,700 cars to me seems minimal and nominal. And it can be adjusted by running the signals better, if they do that when they do a traffic count to look at it. The DCR people have looked at it, the city's looked at it, a peer reviewers looked at it. And traffic people tend to be a little geeky, they use numbers based on the amount of cars that they expect to be in a place like that. And you know, geeks and numbers, they always seem to
Work out?
always seems to work out, right? They don't seem to get overwhelmed by numbers.
I kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, we've seen a lot of projects up here in a lot of dense areas. We got 50,000 square feet, we got parking, we got green space, it's like
Drainage relief.
drainage relief, you know, the impact in the rear, they're elevated. I know it's tall, I mean, I went down there and I sat down at that intersection during a busy time trying to figure out, I sat in the parking lot of the light store next door, trying to figure out, like, is this a left-hand turn only situation? I don't think that, or right-hand only turn coming out of there. You know, I mean, I think that's gonna be dictated anyways by just the traffic pattern, and people are gonna go up and around. I mean, I don't know, in all the projects we've seen in a long time, I think they did a lot of due diligence on this one. I personally am in favor.
Since I've been on the board, I think we've approved 2 or 3 similar projects, one up behind North Quincy High School, and there's another one down by, in the vicinity of Star Market there on one of the corners, very similar.
And those were much smaller lots.
Right, and the same issue was raised, that the traffic would strangle it, if that's the biggest issue. I don't see the traffic being a problem after looking at the way the report. I had asked for the report, but we didn't see it.
Yeah, we didn't have it.
And
The
that's,
planning had it,
that's why I asked to see it.
yeah.
And then after reading it and going through it, I think there's a minimal traffic impact up there
Yeah.
for that intersection.
You know, I mean, I know there's some other developments coming down the road.
And what could happen?
Yeah,
Something else.
you know, but you're looking at this,
I
and
know.
we have to look at it in a vacuum. No, we don't know what the impacts are gonna be on the road.
I mean, what do you wanna do? You wanna build single-family homes in there? That ain't gonna work, you know?
Well, I'll make a motion. Or do you wanna make a motion, Marty?
Yeah. Private Benny is for a variance finding to demolish the existing structure on multiple properties and construct 46-unit residential building on the premises number 1234 to 1244 Furnace Brook Parkway and 211 to 217 Copeland Street. I make a motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Variance and finding.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Let's take a minute for the room to clear out.
Well, there's a lot of people that work tonight.
You know what, they already spoke. No. They already had that, they already had it. Further on to tonight's agenda, under new business, ZBA 23-5, Kevin Doherty for variance special permit floodplain to completely renovate and construct an addition on the home on the premises number 87 Thornton Street, Quincy. Is the applicant or representative here?
Yes, my name's Kevin Doty, I'm the homeowner.
You have the floor.
All right, thank you.
Name, don't forget your address, okay?
Yes, yeah, the address is 87 Thornton Street.
Thank you.
So again, my name's Kevin Doty, I'm the homeowner, and high-level overview, I'm just looking to add space to my single-family home. My family's growing, and we need more space. A little bit more detail about this project. It's an existing two-story single-family house. It's 1,280 square feet. And I plan on building an addition off the back of the house and the side of the house, while also adding a third level and a front porch. And so some of the variances that I am seeking are, number one, the floor area ratio, that's gonna exceed the .40. The front yard setback, which I'm already exceeding, but I'm going to exceed by another couple feet.
Where's this?
Front yard setback.
Oh, the front.
Yeah, front yard setback. My side yard setbacks are already very small, they're like 5.5 feet, that's not changing.
All right.
And then the third thing is the distance between the two structures on the property. I have a detached garage, and so I will be slightly less than that 10-foot requirement between the two structures.
You don't use the garage to park it, correct?
For parking,
Yeah.
I do not.
No.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little tight there with the
Yeah.
new stairs.
Right.
But also that fence is about 4 feet onto my property line. So,
On
Neighbor
your
know that?
property line?
oh, my neighbor's cool. He's cool with me doing that. If you look at
Oh,
the
is this
survey,
what, you see the metal fence leaning back here?
yeah, you see on the survey there,
Yeah, it's supposed to be 4 feet over,
So you're-
3 or 4, I forget exactly, but yeah.
so you have less property.
No, he has more.
I have more, but the fence is kind of squeezing me right now.
So look, you see his fence lines drawn up.
Yeah. The fence is.
This
the
is his
fence-
yeah,
That's
this,
his property line? No, this is, so there's his fence, is over there?
no, yeah, you're actually.
You're gaining?
Yeah, you're losing. Oh, no, because you
Fence is
don't
on
have
his
it listed.
property.
No,
You don't,
that's
you have it
on
on
the
this
other-
side,
right.
That's- so
Yeah,
it's this
so you're
side.
looking at it
Sorry,
backwards.
sorry, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
a-
So we don't have the fence shown here, but you have about 4 feet. Oh, you see
Fence,
right there.
with fence
All right,
there.
yeah, here you go.
Yeah, let me take 3 something.
Why,
3,
why,
2, 3, 4.
why is that there? Once you take it.
I don't know, I bought the place in 2018.
But
never
here's
paid
what's
for
gonna
it.
happen, if that fence stays there long enough, the guy's gonna own your property.
Yeah,
Be careful,
yeah, we'll see.
you know?
Adverse
I do.
possession.
Adverse
He
possession.
will. All of a sudden, you go to move it, and he goes, no, that's mine. It's
Well,
been there 20
well,
years.
nothing in this plan has anything to do with moving the fence, so,
No, I'm just telling you.
yeah, no, I
How are
appreciate it.
you?
So what's going on the third floor?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Master bedroom, bathroom,
Third floor?
yeah, brand new 3rd floor.
That's just for
I've
him.
hired a structural engineer, I've got stamped drawings,
Yeah.
stamped calcs for everything.
So you're gonna go from a 3-bed to a 4, or are you 2 to 4?
It's currently, technically, it's a 3.
So it's 3,
very small.
yeah.
To a 4, yeah. Yep.
But it's got the master.
Because you're in a floodplain, do you have to,
I was just gonna say
do
that.
you have a basement?
I do, but, so this is gonna be a substantial improvement.
You have
So
to
I'm following R322 in the IRC. I'm bringing
Filling
up
it.
I'm filling it. It's only about 1.5 feet I need to fill it to match exterior grade.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm relocating all the utilities up out of the basement.
Okay.
Doing all that flood vents going in per code.
which makes sense then.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see that one that you just flip past.
Yeah, we don't love the, you know, the height, but, you know, because of what you have to do to get out of the floodplain, it makes sense.
The height?
Just when you're, you know,
Well, I'm working with that 35 feet, and I'm
Yeah.
going right up to it.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like.
I'm actually, the plans are actually, they should say 6 inches below that, because I want to give myself a little bit of a buffer, but the first floor finished, the top of the first floor, finished floor right now is 13 feet 10 inches.
Okay.
Which is 1 foot 10 inches above design flood
Right.
elevation. So I'm in good shape there. The first floor's remaining, so I don't have to elevate the building anymore.
Okay.
What else? Those are the basics,
Yeah.
so. Another note, I sat on a meeting for the Conservation Commission 1 week ago today.
Yeah.
Because I'm near the marsh, I filed an
Yeah.
RDA.
What's the exact measurement between the stairs and the garage?
In the back there?
Yeah.
6 feet, 4.5 inches,
All right.
roughly.
I have no questions. Any questions?
No question.
Mr. Chin?
I'm just looking at his narrative.
All right, we can go back. Mr. O'Brien?
I'm finished with it. I had a
Oh,
question about it. The question I have is on the variance, you're looking for a variance?
Yeah.
It says the only variance is the size of your lot. The size of the lot being too small.
I don't know, I think that thing was typed up 2 months ago, maybe it's inaccurate. The 3 things that I'm looking for are the floor area ratio,
He's got the front
the
setback.
front setback, and then the less than 10 feet separation
Right.
between two structures on property.
Yeah, those are not mentioned in this submission itself.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm good at this time.
Oh. Yeah. All right.
I can read it if you want.
Yeah, I just wanna see, if got anything else? in
I mean,
there?
it's the same one as the other one, cause he thought it was for him.
Oh, it's so funny, right? You started reading those, I said, oh, they're reading my memo.
It's funny.
I was like,
That
who
was
is this
funny.
guy? Why is he approaching?
Yeah, my bad, showing me a bit.
Uh-oh, this is the guy with the gun. Uh-oh.
I think they're waiting
It's gonna
outside for me,
happen.
don't worry.
Doc, all right, so you need a variance for the front.
So you don't need anything for the side, as we just.
No, side's fine, side just continues.
Right.
Because of the marshland you got
He's
down
on.
back there, why you doing this, correct, you said?
Yeah, there's,
I think the original.
I'm one property in from where the marsh begins there.
Right.
It's on the east of the boat.
Should get some nice views from that side.
Facts.
That's why they got that sliding glass door on the third level.
Finding of facts.
What are our finding of facts?
Marshland.
Marshland, yeah, topography, so special, and because it's.
Okay, you can have a seat. You all set, Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Does anyone want to speak in favor? First call, second call. Third call closed. I got a letter here from the DPW, it's gonna be read in.
We have reviewed the submittal for the above referenced project, and our comments are as follows. 1, specify how much impervious area will be increased due to the development. 2, provide plans showing the layout of utility, grading, drainage, and the construction details. 3, the submittal package should generally provide a plan denoting the proposed erosion and sediment control practices to be implemented during the construction phase of the project to protect resource areas. And 4, please provide a profile view of all proposed buildings to be located in CSF. Some form of flow-through foundation should be implemented to ensure that storage of floodwaters is not displaced onto adjacent roadways and properties.
Can I address that?
Call it part of
No,
the
you don't
hearing
need to.
closed.
Hey, you just need, in
You
your
just gotta
building
do it.
permit. Yeah, yeah.
You just gotta do it if it's approved.
Yeah, if it's
Is there
approved, you
anyone,
just
we'll
have-
call it part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? Opposed or undecided on this? First call, second call. Third call closed. It's gonna be a beautiful house. I mean, he's doing what he can. He's got, you know. he's
Small
dealing
lot,
with
the tight
marsh-
streets,
it's
yeah.
tight streets, marshland, you know, it's not easy.
I'm all for keeping families in Quincy.
Yep. I get it. Comments?
No, I think it's a nice project.
It's a little bit of a tall house on a small lot, but I understand he's gonna lose the foundation for the flow through.
Yeah.
So he's making a lot of improvements, and I'm in favor.
Agree.
Have a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, in case ZBA 23-5 Kevin Doty for a variance special permit floodplain to completely renovate and construct an addition in the home on the premise numbered 87 Thornton Street, Quincy, and make a motion to grant the variance and special permit floodplain.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed? So moved. Here you go.
There you go, want these?
I know they're expensive.
Thank you.
Further under tonight's agenda. CBA 23-6, Stephen
Marinelli.
Marinelli for a variance to renovate the front stairs and extend the renovated front stairs to create a farmer's porch on the premises number 238 Marlborough Street.
Name and address for the
Name and
record.
address for the record, please.
Stephen Marinelli, 238 Marlborough Street.
You have the floor. Why don't you explain what you want to do or have done or whatever?
So my stairs were falling apart.
Yeah.
And basically put my foot through the landing.
Yeah,
I went to replace some of the boards, found out the stringers were also falling apart. There's
Yeah.
really no place to put the screws. So instead of temporarily replacing them, a friend and I decided to fix them permanently. And just because we weren't coming on any further than the original landing, I thought it would be okay to just extend the landing across the front of the house. That's ignorance on my part, did not realize.
Some guy showed up.
For that, some guy showed up, told me, you can't do that. We had already built the structure, posts in place, everything, had not put the decking boards down yet. So essentially, I'm just hoping that I can come on no further than the original landing. I mean, they had enclosed before I bought the house in 2018, so I was already encroaching
Yeah.
on the front setback, which tends to be the case in that neighborhood. So yeah, essentially, I'm just trying to extend the landing over across the front of the house.
What about the farmer's porch? You gonna do that or not?
Well, that, I just eventually would have liked to put a roof on.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we can include that in this variance as
Okay.
well, but totally open, not enclosed or anything like that.
And your buddy got you in this mess, right?
Well, you know, he's worked in structural engineering, he was between jobs, I was lucky enough to have him help me out. And also, I was also lucky enough to meet with Jay Duca
Yeah.
before he left to help
Yeah.
me put in all the appropriate paperwork. I hope I did it right.
Jay
But,
told us. He
yeah.
told us you saw it.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, essentially, it's just looking for a place to be able to put my groceries down when the rain's coming down. 'cause we
Oh,
don't-
no, it looks like you did a nice job so far. It looks really good. It looks really good.
Yeah, I was thinking of sticking with the plywood, but it'd be nice to get some decking boards down there
Yeah.
if possible.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
The plywood's not a good look.
I mean, I don't mind it, it's really my
But I
wife.
just wanna know, why didn't you finish the temporary stairs so no one falls off in the hole?
Oh, the railings, you mean? I mean,
runners, the half runners.
I like my kids to live with a sense of danger.
In a
It's
sense,
a dangerous world out there.
It's real out there, I hear you. So from now on, it's Mr. Conlon, you be seeing.
We will
Correct
definitely be
that.
putting railings on if I'm able to finish.
I have no questions.
I don't have it.
No questions.
No question. Good.
You can have a seat. Is there anyone want to speak in favor? First call, second call, third call closed. I have a letter here from DPW. They have reviewed the above referenced project and have no comments. Anyone opposed or undecided? First call, second call, third call closed. I'll be voting in favor. It's a good move.
I'm in favor, mistakes happen.
In
Okay,
favor.
fine.
I'm in favor.
That's why they put erasers on pencils.
You take the fine away?
That's what they have a
Have a
button that
motion.
says delete.
Mr. Chairman, ZBA 23-6, Stephen Marinelli for a variance to renovate the front stairs and extend the renovated stairs to create a farmer's porch on the premise number 238 Marlborough Street, Quincy. I make a motion to grant the variance.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
Thank you.
5-0. Further on to tonight's agenda, GBA 23-7, Patrick Foley Esquire for variance finding to subdivide the existing lot and build a single-family home on the new created lot in the premises number 251, 253 Granite Street. Counselor, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Patrick Foley. I'm the attorney for the proposal at 251-253 Granite Street, which is located in the residential B zoning district of the city. I'm joined here tonight by Gavin Driscoll, who's our architect for the project. Right now, currently on the property is a 9,200 square foot lot with a two-family home on it. To access the street, it's actually a one-way. The applicant has owned the house since 2017. At that time, it was a blighted property when he bought it. And over the last, 6 years, he's done numerous amounts of work to it to improve it and make it a better look with all the other homes in the property there as well. Applicant's proposing to subdivide the lot and create a new 4,595 square foot lot where he is seeking to build a single-family home. This single-family home will be 2 stories high. It will have 3 parking spots. The other half of the subdivision where the two-family is now, that will become a 4,602 square foot lot. And which is gonna happen is it's gonna create, I just wanna add, it's gonna create a new setback to the right, which will be 14 feet, which will satisfy the 13-foot requirement. It will also cause the FAR to go up from 0.40 to 0.51. Gavin, if you just wanna go through the drawings.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Gavin Driscoll, I'm Architecture Design. This is the existing plot plan here. The existing two-family home is hugged on the west side of the property. This is where we plan to put the new proposed single family. This is the proposed single family home over here. Like Pat said, the existing two-family home will be 4,602 square feet with the new FAR of 0.51 with the 2 parking spaces. There's no work being done to the existing house, and the zoning relief is on, only, zoning relief is on the right side, which will be the 14, which will be allowable, and then also the size of the lot and also the frontage. The new single-family home will be 4,599 square feet. So we have a living space of 2,563 with the FAR of 0.56. There'll be new
FAR
water.
5.6?
0.56.
0.56,
Sorry
yeah.
about that. We'll add new water and sewer and all necessary drainage for the new house. The existing driveway entrance will stay the same. We're actually reduced the size of the driveway, but we will increase the impervious by 970. The new house will be 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, and have 28 feet. I'm just going through the plans quickly as well. On the right side here is the basement plan. There'll be a family room in the basement with lots of windows to bring in the natural light. And on the left side will be mechanical and storage. On the first floor will be kitchen, living, and dining with a half bath and pantry and washer dryer at 1,100 square feet. And then on the second floor will be 3 bedrooms and 2 baths at 824 square feet. And then these are the elevations. In the top left-hand corner is this front elevation facing Greater Street. This is the left side that will be facing the parking, the rear elevation, and then on the side here will be the right elevation.
What, you have asphalt, like, show me where the asphalt,
How would you get it?
The asphalt is only in the, this is the existing driveway here,
Okay.
and we're actually reducing the size of the driveway,
What's your parking plan?
which would be here, which it has the 4 spots.
so you got a shared driveway?
It will be a shared driveway, yeah, the existing driveway will stay the same,
Shared.
and each one will have 2 spots.
And why do you, why is that house so big when you got a nice sized lot there? I know you barely got 2 frontages, you're on a corner. And you're 10 feet off the sidewalk. I mean, you got all that room. I just, to me, it's like, and I don't know, it's just, you had a big place to work with, and you kind of took every advantage of every little spot, so I have no questions. You're up. Any questions? split the land, I get it, but you got a 4,500 square foot lot, let's build a house compatible with a 4,500 square foot lot. And bring your setbacks back a little bit, and bring it in, little help for the neighborhood.
I have
And I
no
don't like a shared driveway either, that's like, you know, it's like you're cramming it in when you figure out something. I just don't like, I could buy it, but I just don't like it. You got a house there you wanna build, make it a house. A little small house, it's okay, it's a house.
Existing house is a single family?
The existing house is a two-family.
Existing house is a two.
Yes.
I got no
And that
questions.
thing will be a two-family in 2 years. Well, we wouldn't let it.
I have a big house, small lot. Any way you could compress it?
Sure, we can talk to the applicant about it.
Yeah.
Council, so the existing's gonna stay two-family?
Yes.
And you're gonna add a one-family?
Yes, yes.
Why are you bumping that out and forcing everybody to use the same driveway? Couldn't you,
Because this just gives us, we're trying to reduce the amount of asphalt by keeping the same entrance. It reduces the amount of asphalt on the site, so that they both can use that, and we wouldn't have
yeah,
to.
but then you gotta create a right-of-way over the existing driveway to let them cross the property all the
You
time.
got fights and people
You know-
fighting.
you know what I mean?
each other.
Yeah, no, I agree, yeah. Well, I think
I
that
mean,
there's enough room to turn around that there'd be something in the easement that they wouldn't be allowed to block the driveway. I mean, we could definitely take a look at it to see.
I mean, if you just made two parallel driveways that are lined down the middle, with the property line down the middle, and then you could put something in there other than asphalt,
That's right.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You could look at that instead of creating all the legal.
And you could
traffic
avoid
stuff.
that mutual use then?
Yeah, you could-
Yeah.
yeah, you know? You know, my brother just went through it, that's the only
do
reason I
that.
say it, you know what I mean?
Knock it down and put it in a triple down.
No, just,
You did just do a lot of work.
Yeah, I know,
Hey,
I
Danny,
know.
you put it together, Reno?
Yeah.
So I think you got, is that what you're saying, like separate driveways too?
yeah, two separates. I mean,
Pavins,
I
pavers.
don't know if the big issue was opening the driveway opening on a corner like that, you know what I mean?
Conceptually, like, wouldn't you want your driveway on that outside anyways?
I would.
From that single-family home? Because the only access is from Granite Street, it's a one-way.
Right, that's what I mean.
Like, why would you,
Yeah, it's
I don't
not-
know, I would try and find a way to, that solves his problem if you can move it over too, because he doesn't want you right on the street line, I mean, did you guys look at that at all, or did we try?
No, we definitely can take a
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah.
And then you can put pavers in there or something, to reduce the asphalt, you know what I mean? We're gonna build a new house, dress it up.
I mean, the whole corner's asphalt already.
Huh?
Yeah, I know.
I said the
I know.
whole corner's asphalt.
No, I know.
But, I know, and
Just
then
take
the
it
whole
out.
thing, I know. It would
Build a
stick
new
out,
house,
look
right?
nice. It would look nice, right. Trying to put the driveway on the other side, move the house back.
Do you wanna, have them
Yeah.
come back or take testimony?
Well, it's gonna be a different house when they come back, so we'll do it all again. We'll put it off,
You need a month?
yeah,
Month?
Yeah.
What's the April, what's the date on that?
You'll be recovering from the marathon.
You know what, maybe I should come the day after, I'll get some sympathy out
The
of you
day
guys.
after the marathon?
I'll come up here limping.
The day after the marathon.
I think it's the week before.
What's, is it April, is it April 4th?
Is it?
What are the April dates?
Mr. Newman, when did their,
we're
April
trying
dates
to
start?
find a date for now.
I'll come in with a nice limp
Fourth,
on.
and then it will be 18th,
Make sure you wear your running shoes on your way over.
18th maybe?
We're rollerblades this year.
Gotta get away from the marathon, it'll take them a week to recover.
Yeah,
Quick recover.
quick recovery.
Probably runs one every day, look
At
at
his
him.
age, quick recovery. He gets down, they suck him
So they-
bottle, they get their
when's
own
the marathon,
oxygen
17th?
tanks now, they go,
Yeah, 17th, 18th,
oh,
whatever that
they're all
Monday is.
set.
Yeah, so 18th wouldn't be good for Council Foley, so I might be in recovery.
April 18th, does that work?
No.
Yeah, we'll be here, that's fine, we'll be here.
Oh, look at him. He's running the marathon on the 17th. That's what
We'll
we're
be here.
dead serious.
Oh, I thought you were kidding.
Oh,
I,
yeah, yeah.
so you wanna go,
We'll do the 18th. 18th, it's fine.
He'll suck it up.
All right, 18th.
Hopefully comes in
It was a
cramped.
little stiff when he comes in.
18th.
If I don't win, don't show up.
I have a whole list from the DPW here, they wanna know all this, but it's gonna be changed, and we're gonna have to send it back in, but we'll read this into the record anyway.
Sure. February 10th, 2023, ZBA 23-7, specify how much impervious area will be increased due to the development. 2, provide plans showing the existing site conditions, layout of utility, grading, drainage, and the construction details. 3, explain how the surface runoff will be discharged and treated. 4, provide dimensions and grades for the paving area and all driveway entrances. 5, the house number for the new house cannot be 253 Granite Street. 6, upon completion of the project, as-built plans showing all utilities and building footprints need to be submitted along with a digital file.
Thanks, Council, we're gonna move that, but is
Good
there
luck in the
anyone
marathon.
here that was gonna speak on that case against it?
Or for it.
Well, for it wouldn't matter, cause there's gonna be a better plan that's gonna come. Yeah?
Well, thanks for
All
coming.
right, thanks. It's gonna be a better plan when it comes back. It's gonna look better for the neighborhood, and brought over, and separate driveways, separate homes. Shared driveway is not a good thing, it just really isn't, it looks ugly. All right, we're gonna
Creates
move that
problems
to the
down the road.
18th if we can, April.
Mr. Chairman, ZBA 23-7, Patrick Foley Esquire for a variance finding to subdivide the existing lot and build a single-family home on the newly created premise number 251, 253 Granite Street, Quincy, and make a motion to grant that to April 18th. Or 17th.
Second.
April 18th. 17th.
Is Monday. That's the
There-
marathon.
There you
Yeah.
go.
April 18th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. April 18th.
Anybody want to bounce?
Anyone want to bounce? There you go.
I mean, I will.
Huh? Come on in, you're in. All right, Brian.
See you guys.
See ya, how you doing? Him, if I were you, I would've took it. What's it out of here?
He's an older fella, he needs to sleep.
Yeah, the older fella. There you go. All right. I'm gonna read all that stuff. Further on to tonight, CBA 23-9. Victoria Wong for variance to subdivide the existing site into 2 parcels and construct 2 new townhouses style residential units on the newly created parcel on the premises number 9 Vassar Street. The applicant, Ms. Counselor, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Edward Fleming. I'm here on behalf of Victoria Wong, who's with me here tonight, as well as Mark Sullivan from Chu Design, who's the architect on this proposal, as well as Chi Man from Hardy Man, who's a site engineer. As you indicated, this is property located at 9 Vassal Street, and it's on the North Quincy-Wollaston kind of border, I would say. Victoria has a property under agreement, subject to this relief or permitting that she's seeking tonight for the 9 Vassal Street property. The property is a 10,376 square foot parcel as it exists today, and it's improved by a 2-family that sits on the far left side of the property. It's only about 3 feet from the left side property line.
Could you guys talk outside, please? You'd be astounded
Hey,
how
guys,
much you can hear.
thanks.
Thank you.
So it's about a 10,376 square foot parcel of land, and it's improved by a 2-family that sits on the far left side of the site, only about 3 feet from the left side property line, leaving essentially the right side of the property open as it stands today. The existing 2-family actually parks on a driveway that comes off of Vassal Street. And it's parked actually on the old section of Vassal Street, where the roadway at one point in time was to go straight. However, when the roadway was built, the city took additional land and they curved it to the right.
Right.
However, they never abandoned the public way that sits in the front of the site. So the existing 3-family had basically a driveway, and cars would park haphazardly in the driveway. There was no lined spaces for the parking. I don't know how to shut off my
Apple.
phone. No, this is my
Apple.
phone. I don't know. Sorry about that. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the existing 10,000 square foot parcel creating what I'd call Lot A, which is for the existing two-family house of about 4,861 square feet, and a secondary parcel, I'd call Lot B, of 5,603 square feet. And then construct a new two-unit townhouse-style condominium building on the secondary parcel. In addition to that, the proponent is actually creating a much clearer and wider driveway that will now service both the existing two-family and will provide for parking in the rear, lined parking spaces in the rear of that site for 4 parking spaces, and a secondary driveway that will service the new two-family, the new two-unit building that will service, that will provide parking under the building for 2 vehicles for each unit. The building was designed in a fashion, and Mark will talk about this in more detail, that it's very narrow in style, but it has the length that would provide the living area for the property, and it will provide 3 stories in total height. But essentially, the first floor will provide the parking for the 2 units, and then there's 2 additional parking spaces for visitors in the end of the driveway. As I said, it's a 3-story building. And Mark will go through the details of the floor plans in a second. I won't go into that right now. As I talked about that triangular piece of land in the front, and it really can only be shown, it's really kind of right in this location. Vassal Street was actually supposed to go straight, and then the city built it in the fashion that it is. But this area here is all green, essentially green space right now, and it will forever remain that same way. So it's almost like an additional front yard for these properties, because the city has no intentions of ever building that roadway in that location, and nor have they really even abandoned the public way. The public way still stays there. Hence is still providing 50 square feet, or 50 feet of frontage for each of these lots, that allows access across that triangular piece into the site. The area is, or the neighborhood, I should say, is surrounded by other multifamily buildings, 2 families, and to the right of this property is a 5-family building that's set back a little further from the site. I think it's a brick 5-family building. So it's very, this particular proposal is very consistent with the makeup of the neighborhood. We are seeking variances, however, from the zoning, from the dimensional requirements of the ordinance, and also the parking requirements of the ordinance, as well as the paving, so that it can allow us to actually add a driveway of this size to service both of these properties, as well as the parking in the rear of the site. So we're seeking dimensional relief from number of provisions, including lot size, FAR, minimum lot area per dwelling unit. What we did with the buildings when they were designed is that we designed them to sit closer to the front of the abandoned section of the public way. Sitting them back even further, like the 5-family, really would have looked odd in comparison to the other homes in the neighborhood. So we're seeking frontage relief as well, front setback relief as well. And then the paving and the parking setbacks really for the new parking lot that's shown in the back. So, Chi, if I could ask Chi to kind of show you the site plan a little bit more clearly, and if you have any questions about engineering, Chi can certainly address those, and then we'll ask Mark just to kind of walk through the plan.
So good evening, my name is Chi Man from Hardy Development Design Group, civil engineers on this project. Just to walk over here.
Speak up a little so everyone can hear. Thanks.
Come to this corner so we can actually see.
We're out again, old.
That's all right. That's right, isn't it?
So the entire lot encompass like the area outline, so this is the proposed subdivision line to create what we call parcel A and parcel B. Existing building is staying where it is. As Ed mentioned, there's a paving parking area out on the street. I want to mention the actual property line is, frontage is out here where the street line is actually the curb line.
Yep.
So, from the actual sidewalk, the street line to the building is actually a clean space in between. And the front setback is pretty consistent with the neighboring houses, like the building right next to it, only have 8-foot setback
Yeah.
from the street line.
It's all the way down the street there
Yeah,
like that.
in
right?
comparison, we have more setback from the street itself, because of the front, the property line is out further back. And, as Ed mentioned, this is a 5-unit, building. Right back here is a 4-unit building, doing work right in the back is, two-unit building. And along the neighborhood is, I would say 80% on the street is multifamily, so it's consistent with that.
Why'd you put it 7 feet from a 5-family house?
It's just the layout of the lot that we want to have comfortable, driveway to.
No, I don't know. It looks like it's all paved. It looks like the whole yard is paved.
Yeah, well, we have a big, green area in the back.
And I think in addition to that, all I'd say is that, as I talked about that green space in the front, I know it's not part of this parcel, but it's, I think, a very unusual circumstance, and hence why the variances are being requested, because that essential green space out front, that triangular piece, is almost as if it's part of this parcel, and it provides that additional green space.
So you're not paying taxes on it.
Well, that's even better, right?
That's even better.
Also want to point out.
And I believe it's 11 more than 11 feet off the property line, the brick building, right? You identified that?
The brick building is
So
11
you
feet.
got 18 instead of like 26, or even 24,
Right.
which.
But still is
Where do
substantial.
I see that driveway going into the 5 units down the back.
Right.
Where do they park? Is there another way to park to get in there in the back of that building?
I'm not sure.
No,
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know
There's
that.
not, I
it's
said,
just, it's random parking back
it's weird.
there. Yeah.
It's really a weird place.
So on the
Like,
city
weird.
assessors now, it shows the driveway coming back to the rear of the property, you have the paved area.
So
Yeah.
they might not be over there.
I don't know how
But I
it's
mean, you got a
designed.
big giant driveway there.
But
You
that's
have
the
a
other-
Big giant driveway and the whole thing here. I mean, we gotta do something with it.
Well, I
We
said,
gotta- we gotta carve
your
something
plan
out
showed
of it.
you're taking the existing driveway out, right?
We're gonna take the
Yeah.
existing driveway out and we'll replace it with a new driveway, right?
But see what it is, they got it, I mean, you're like 7 feet, what do you got from the
Yeah.
building? I mean, I don't know. In reality,
7 feet from the property line.
yeah, and then it's, after the building, it's all tar. The whole lot is tarred, behind even the other whole building. It's like massive,
Yep. And again, that other one is, the parking in there is so random.
Oh, it's crazy.
The pavement on our site is not behind the building, it really just goes along the back, it just goes straight down. It essentially goes straight down here, and it provides additional parking spaces in the rear for
We actually have.
visitor
yeah,
spaces, but it doesn't go behind the building.
I thought it went behind the building.
Oh, no, it doesn't go behind the building.
Behind the existing.
So the way it's
It
set
goes
back
behind
up-
the existing building, proposed parking.
It goes behind the
Parking.
existing building, that's
So
right.
what's this coming? What's all that?
No, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the new home, that the pavement.
No,
is
no, no.
behind the new home.
You're gonna take the whole back
Well,
of the old home.
We are creating, well, because we're creating parking that didn't, the parking that exists today, Mr. Akins, essentially is random parking in that driveway on the public way.
Right,
It's
but
actually on the
that's
public.
because there's 10,000 square feet, there's an extra piece of road there. I get all that. But really, look at this paving. That's like absurd. It's really, I mean, you change that to pavers and you've changed the whole lot. Now it looks, and I know it's expensive, but tar, there's nowhere for the water to run here. Where's it gonna go? Up here and in this corner. You got that front and this corner, and that's it.
Well, right
That's
now,
what's
there's
gone.
no drainage controls, maybe you can talk a little bit about the
But
drainage.
you don't need them, you got one little house over there. But, and there's a 5-family if they need something over here. There's nothing in back that you would need. I see all the drainage controls you got, I see what you're putting in there.
Mr. Akins, I can certainly talk with my client about converting that to pavers or some type of system like that. that's
That
a
would
little bit
make
more
me,
pervious.
make me vote for this, cause this here is
Okay.
just like way too much tar. Even the building, I mean, it's over and everything, but if we could put some stuff there to mitigate, water's gotta go somewhere.
They would be willing to do a paver system for a portion of that driveway or parking area in the back. that you're talking about, or even the whole thing. I don't know that we need to do the driveway in pavers, but maybe in the back, to improve the drainage controls. But that's agreeable.
I know, that's a lot of space. And even this, it's a lot.
It's a lot because there's nothing there now.
It's all grass, it's
Oh, that's
nice,
what I
it's
mean.
pretty, right, I know. So let him finish, I just wanna know if that was all part of that.
We can certainly design some type of permeable paper parking system. So one upper, one into the parking area, we will straight right into the ground. And that tie right into our underground recharge system. That would definitely improve the drainage as well.
So if I could have Mark, so we'll just kind of walk through the plan so you can see the building.
Good evening, my name is Mark Sullivan from Jew and Company Architects.
Address? Your address?
Oh, I'm sorry, one Billings Road,
Thanks.
Quincy. So just to get a quick look at just the front of the new proposed two-family, it will be a townhouse style design, with one unit being in the front, one unit being in the back. We'll go a little bit more into the floor plans here. So going across the board, DeSalle Street is on the front here.
Yep.
This is the ground floor plan. As mentioned, we have 2 car garages for each one of those townhouse units. We put office space as well as a mudroom and more living space towards the front of that house design so that you're not seeing necessarily windows going into a parking garage or anything that would be kind of unpleasant for the street. The second floor for both of these townhouses, they are just mirrored on each other, so same thing towards the back. The living space, dining space is on the second floor, and then both of these 2,000 square foot units are 3-bedroom units, and all the bedrooms are located on the top floor. To give you an idea of the elevations, so as I mentioned, they're mirrored from front to back. This would be your view on DeSalle Street, looking at the front. So like I mentioned, we try to create more living space on the front and really engage the street side instead of having necessarily a garage. This is the rear, exactly mirrored, front porch entry to mirror what's going on to the left and to the right on the neighboring properties. These are the 2 side elevations. So this is the north elevation facing the new proposed driveway. Just 2 garage doors, they're just double wide doors for 2 cars to enter. And then this is facing the south, which is within that 7-foot setback area. In terms of materials, we would be looking to use high quality fiber cement to characterize, similar to what's there in the neighborhood.
Pretty building, it really is a pretty building. I like the looks of it. Just worried about time. Any questions, Mr. Frankel? No. Mr. Hamel, Mr. Chin? Mr. O'Brien?
No, I'm good for now, thank you.
Anyone like to speak in favor? First call? Second
I
call?
would like to, at this time,
Sure.
Mr. Akins, just
Yeah.
provide a letter of support that's been signed by a number of neighbors in the community, about 23 neighbors, total signatures. Just people, not necessarily on Bassel Street directly, but
Right in line, yeah.
in that particular Wallaston.
Yep, right in Billings all around there, yep. I'm always busy, huh? We'll read them into the record.
And it's just one, it's really just one letter in support, so it's just that top front letter.
Yeah, just wanna go quick, how many total and
It was about
the
20,
addresses?
I think there were about 23.
Just a quick, like,
There were some duplicate signatures in there, because I think some property owners,
Yeah.
that own a number of different properties signed it more than once.
23 people signed in favor from Vassal Street. Go ahead.
23 people in favor, residing Vassal Street, Billings Road, Vane, Hancock Street, Albion Road. Can't read that one. Billings, Freeman, Morvane, Freeman, Tyler, Muirhead, Oxenbridge, Ransom, and Willett Street.
All right,
All in
very good.
favor.
Is there anyone else want to speak in favor? Second call, third call up, hearing closed. I have a letter here from the DPW, will be read into the record.
Case number ZPA 23-99 Vassal Street. We've reviewed the submittal for the above referenced project and our comments are as follows. 1, this section of Vassal Street was repaved in 2020. There is a 5-year moratorium for any digging on this section of Vassal Street. We will not issue any street opening permit until 2025. 2, provide plans showing the layout of utility. 3, confirm the ownership of the triangular parcel in front of the proposed development. Provide documentation that the applicant has the right to develop, dig on the parcel. 4, install survey monuments to delineate the subdivision. The monuments shall be set by a professional land surveyor. Further information is required, please advise.
Call it part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? Opposed or undecided? Second call, third call it part of the hearing closed. I mean, really, I know it's a cost and it's a little cost, but for that amount of open space, I really would want pavers there, I wouldn't be in favor. But I would otherwise, it's a pretty building. I think you did a great job in the building. For the neighborhood, I think we gotta cut back on all that pavement.
Yeah, just looking at the picture, the building's pretty and you
Yeah.
can land a helicopter in front lot.
Yeah, and
As I indicated, my client is willing to do a paver system and will work with Chi to design an appropriate paver system
Okay.
on that proposal.
coming in, shrink it all, it's all gonna be pavers then, right?
If that's what you desire, Mr. Chairman. then-
Thank you, that's what I desire.
We
Any
suggest
comments?
the parking area beyond paper is high
Yes.
maintenance for the driveway,
I
so.
think it'll look, if you're gonna do it right. Put in pavers, make it a nice system, make it look nice. You know, you got a big strip of, Tara's ugly, it's really ugly. A beautiful building like that, you know how nice those pavers are gonna look? I can already picture it. It's gonna be gorgeous. You're gonna do a great job, I know you will. Comments?
Whether you want it or not.
No, I'm in line with you. Do paver that all out so it looks nice and pretty, and then the building will go along with it, and good to go.
Yeah, I agree. Pavers look great, and you'll probably get more for the project.
I'm in favor with the condition. Likewise.
Can we have a motion, please?
In the matter of Victoria Long, 9 Vassal Street, Quincy, ZBA 23-9, move that the board approve the variances being requested with the condition that all of the hardtop, blacktop tar be replaced with a paver system.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank
All
you very
set.
much.
Thank you, Counselor.
Congratulations.
Thanks for getting that done.
Congratulations.
Further on tonight's agenda. ZBA 2310, Lancaster Street LLC, for variance to remove the existing commercial warehouse structure and pavement and construct 2 townhouses totaling 4 units on the premises number 1315 Lancaster Street, Quincy. Counselor, you back up? Hey, I know you.
The whole day. I was kind of hoping that I was
No more
first, but
pavement?
apparently you decided you wanted to,
pavement.
yeah, no pavers.
What will we want now?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Edward Fleming again, on behalf of Lancaster LLC and Mr. Michael White, its manager. I'm joined tonight by Brian Donahue, who's the architect on this proposal, and Cameron Campbell from DeSalle Burke Sala Engineering, who did the site work on this matter. This is zoned Residence B. I don't know if you had a chance to drive by, but if you did, you saw something that really just didn't fit in the neighborhood. This property, how it was developed and how it came about, I don't know the history of it, but this property's been essentially a warehouse-style building in commercial use in an otherwise small residential neighborhood. The buildings are quite large in scale. You can see them as highlighted in gold on the plan. This encompasses two different parcels of land known as 13 and 15 Lancaster. As you can see, the larger of the two structures basically encroaches over the property line onto the neighbor's property line as well. So there's essentially no setbacks at all. And if you thought there was a lot of paving on the last project, if you drove by this one, you'd see that this entire property is filled with either building or pavement. My client actually, Mr. Michael White, has utilized this property most recently for his own business. He had a sprinkler business, essentially, an irrigation system business, and he had all his supplies and his trucks and other things that utilized the property because it was a pre-existing non-conforming commercial use. Prior to him, there had been other commercial uses of the property, again with numerous vehicles, trucks going back and forth in that small residential neighborhood.
They didn't like that.
You know what, I'm surprised that I never heard about complaints, but when I spoke with the counselor about this, Councilor Andronico, he was thrilled that this was a proposal to finally convert that site, and he didn't believe that there would be really a lot of concern in the neighborhood, because I talked about a neighborhood meeting with him, but he was very supportive of the proposal. So what we're seeking to do tonight is essentially utilize those two properties and construct a new residential development on the site consisting of 4 residential units. Two each, two buildings and with 2 units in them, with parking under and residential above. I'll let Brian talk about those properties in more detail in a moment, but maybe Cameron, while you're there, if you want to just kind of walk through the site and just show them those aspects of the site.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Cameron Campbell with the Selberg Sala, 1266 Ferrisburgh Parkway, Quincy.
Thank you.
So, as you said, the entire site is essentially paved now, and the new development proposes to reduce the pavement by about 33%, which is pretty significant. And so you'll have the 2 new buildings parallel to each other, and you'll have come in on a 18-foot driveway where it opens up to 24, where you can maneuver your cars. And then you have you have 2 parking spaces in each garage for each unit, and then additional guest parking in the rear, 1 space per building. And the site now all slopes to the rear. And we're proposing to keep it that way and essentially put like a catch basin at the rear of the property and feed it into an underground system. Right now, it all goes to, there's a catch basin at one of the buildings, but it's all plugged up. I believe it's just a dry well, and it's not really sized to handle the amount of pavement that's on the site.
Yep.
So this will meet all the state standards. There's an existing retaining wall at the rear, and the existing garage in the back, the foundation acts as a retaining wall. We're gonna remove the building and rebuild it. And bring in a 2-inch water line, 1-inch water line to each building, new sewer for each building, all tying into the existing utilities on Lancaster Street.
Counselor, is that the hardship on this, is the topography of the land in the back?
The hardship on this is that and the pre-existing use of the site. And Cameron did a great job, by the way, because Chen issued a letter, as he always does when he reviews these proposals, but Cameron responded to him promptly. And I believe the letter you have from Chen indicates that all the issues the concerns that he had been fully addressed as well. I just wanted to highlight that, and I was appreciative of Cameron getting on that as well as he did.
Yeah, this came in March 3rd. The last one was February 10th with the whole list. And March 3rd, there's no concerns.
Brian, do you want to just walk through the building?
Do you have any questions of this drainage or anything? Anyone?
No, I'm good.
Mr.
Chairman, members of the board, Brian Donahue, Donahue Architects, 21 McGrath Highway in Quincy. Cameron did a very good job of describing the change from the existing conditions to the new buildings. What we have is 4 units with 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms and a bath and a half for each unit. They're approximately 1,700 square feet per unit, including garage, because you really need to include the garage area for the square footage calculations. Just in general, the nature of the street, Lancaster, a predominant of 1 to 2 family homes, and a lot of the lots are actually smaller than half of this site. So I think it's a 4-unit development, but I think it fits into the character of the neighborhood. Don't want to go into too much detail on the layouts. Fairly straightforward, simple counter design with 2 cars parking under. We do have 2 guest spaces designated behind the building, so we have two parking spaces per unit plus 2 guest spaces.
They can park in front, really, almost if they wanted to, the garage door, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There was actually, street parking is available. So, the buildings are actually 32 feet apart. So there's significant room to back in and out, because sometimes these townhouse developments are a little bit too tight. So there's room to negotiate. We've got side yards, 13 feet for each unit, so they can have a little bit of outdoor space. And then the rest of it is developed as green area. These are just the layouts. So again, it's garage floor, 2 bedrooms on the top level. So what we've done is orient the buildings towards the street, so it will present on Lancaster Street as the short end of the building with a facade that we're trying to treat as the face of a single-family house. So this is the unit from the garage entry, so we've got a double-car garage for each unit, and these are mirror images of each other, so it's really good identical. So I went over the square footage. The height of the building is 31 feet, which is below the requirement. So we think it's an improvement, obviously, over the commercial building. And hope you
Very nice.
look at it favorably. Thank you.
So, any questions, board members first?
No question.
All set? Is there anyone want to speak in favor? Anyone want to speak in favor? First call?
I'll speak up.
You'll speak up. Johnny, I knew he couldn't stay quiet. I knew.
I was only gonna pick one of his cases. Although all Attorney Fleming's cases were great tonight. But no, this is good new growth. You know, those are gonna be worth, I don't know, they're probably not gonna be worth $1 million each. That first one, those are gonna be worth $1 million each, that last case, but those probably be about $750,000 each, so that's good new growth. We need the new taxes. That's a very dense area to begin with down there, so I'm sure that they have to go to planning on this. This is 4 units, right?
We have a waiver for site plan review.
Oh, even better, goes to show how great of Attorney Fleming is, but I'm in favor of this, thank you.
Is he doing work for you pretty soon?
I think he works
I don't know about sounds.
Is there anyone else want to speak in favor? Second call? Third call? All that part of the hearing closed. We got a letter here from DPW. Now, this is dated March 3rd. They had a lot of concerns about what they wanted, and they were all addressed. So the applicant has done everything that the DPW has asked them, and there's no comments. Everything's done. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? Please step forward, name and address for a record, please.
Good evening. My name is Tony Chin. I live at 74 Edward Street.
What was your address?
74 Edward Street.
Okay.
Which is adjacent to the
Yeah,
property
yeah.
that's being in question here. My family's lived there since 1997, 96. Raised 3 kids there. I'm opposed to this variance for a couple of reasons. One, I think, has to do with the zoning law itself. The lot is just too small to support 4 units. But the second reason is that it's personal, because it has a direct impact toward my family. So the lot, in reviewing this application, the lot size is listed as 8,186 square feet. My understanding is the current requirement per unit is 4,000 square feet. So this is roughly half the size of what the law requires. Also, for the setbacks, the law requires 25 feet. The proposed setback is 12 feet. Again, 50% of what the law requires. It's just too small. On a personal level, I oppose it because there's an expected negative impact, environmental impact toward my property. Currently, we share a property line about 25 feet. My backyard leads the back of their property. On the left side, there's like a chain link fence.
Are you close to the fence? Is your house close to the fence?
No,
Oh.
but that's the back of my yard.
Oh.
So of that 25 feet or so of property line, on the left side, there's a chain link fence about 8 or 9 feet long. The rest of it, there's no independent fence separating the two property. What separates the two property is the side of this commercial building, which is pretty massive. I think it's approximately 30 feet long, about over 15 feet high. Okay, it's a concrete structure. And I'm concerned about the demolition of the structure because in doing so, first you're going to remove the fence, but it's going to create a lot of debris, a lot of pollution, noise, water runoff. All of that's going to spill into my yard.
No, if any work that's done, they're gonna put up so it don't go in your yard.
Yeah, I'm concerned. The Lancaster property is sloped, so the water drains into our property and my neighbor's property. And in removing this big structure, I think it's just going to create a lot more drainage into our property.
Aren't you redoing that wall in the back?
I believe there'll be a new fence that will run along the back of the property line,
Right.
but the new drainage system that's being designed is
It's gonna catch it all.
It's gonna catch all that water, and,
Right.
and the one that's there now doesn't operate.
Doesn't work,
properly.
right.
So, I mean, in summary, it's just that the lot is just too small for 4 units. And then also the direct negative environmental impact to my family as well as to the neighbors whose property is adjacent to this. I think it's just too great. And so I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pose on the side?
Good evening. Richard Ash, I'm the president of the Ward 2 Civic Association, address 14 Mount Street. I spoke with while I'm not in the direct vicinity of this property, spoke with some of the neighbors. I don't think there's any dispute that it's a residential neighborhood. I think most of the homes over there are 2 floors and not 3. So that was the primary concern, that this is 3 floors and 4 units. I won't rehash everything that was just said, but in addition to the drainage and the parking, I wanted to actually see if we could look at the parking again, Ed, if you don't mind. I got a little confused by where the spots are gonna go.
There'll be 2 spots in the garage.
Each unit gets 2 spaces on the ground, in the building.
In the building.
Underneath.
So you have 2-car garages at under each
unit.
building. So the first floor of the building is all garage, and then you have 2 guest spaces at the rear of the building.
The first floor is garage.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you get 2 spots in each. plus 2 extras, plus what they need in the park in front of the, on the designated, plus you can park in front, like you say, you can park in front of your doors. Someone else come over, we had a couple people.
So in addition to the height and the drainage, which was just discussed, I also wanted to ask the board about the repaving of the street. I know that an initial letter I saw from DPW, that street's supposed to be repaved in June of this year. And I didn't know if this project was supposed to take place before that, or if that was not gonna require any of the street to be dug up.
Yes, I know. No, that's okay, and there's a legitimate question. That was raised, we said that we would be, actually be able to tie into utilities prior to that time.
Okay.
So it wouldn't interfere
So,
with the ability.
because you're not gonna be able to dig it up, right?
Right, right.
So, just in closing, just, 3 floors seems to be an issue for most of the neighbors over there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else opposed or undecided?
Hello, my name is Scott Alessandro, 70 Edwards Street. I live behind the property. I want to say all due respect to the gentleman representing Lancaster LLC. This new property does not fit in the neighborhood either. The current buildings that are there right now are not as large as the proposed buildings. The new buildings will dominate and be overbearing on the rest of the area. It's 1 and 2 family houses around there. We're asking for something, this is a property that is significantly larger. I'm trying to figure out how with, previously discussing 251, 253, I think it was Granite Street, about such a large house and a small property. And now we have a similar small lot with an even smaller lot actually than that one, with a same size building in 2 of them. There have also been no complaints, because there are no complaints. My wife and I, our family, we've lived there for 18 plus years. It's incredibly quiet. I realize that, we might think, oh, this is commercial as opposed to residential, but it's actually a lot more quiet, and I've never seen 10 cars on the property. So now my concern is, right, I thought it was just 2 to 8, now there's 2 guest spots, and then there's 1 can park right there in front of the door. So now I've never seen more than maybe 3 or 4 that maybe come at one time and then leave. Now what we're saying is there's gonna be 10 cars, maybe more, coming at all times. So there's actually gonna increase the traffic in the area tremendously. And I also want to say regarding Anthony Andronico did not call for a community meeting because he knew he would be against it. I don't know why he didn't call for a community meeting, but I think the fact that there wasn't a community meeting should not in any way say that we are in support of this. Right? The fact that he never came and spoke to any of us who lived abutting that property, I think is how he knew how we would feel about it. So I think if he supported it, I think we know the fact that he never came and spoke to us about it pretty much tells you what he thought we would feel about the property, about the building. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a building there, but the size it's not necessary. I understand why they want to do that, why they want to maximize revenue on that space, but you're taking this densely packed community that we keep talking about, and we say, let's make it even more densely packed for no reason. So I just don't see the reason why we need something that large, especially after just maybe at other times, just tonight, we heard about why do we need such a big house on such a small property. Thank you.
They are two bedroom units, that's what they are. They're not 3 and 4 bedroom units, they're 2 bedroom units.
Yeah, but it's still the same
I'm
square
just
feet.
I'm just saying, there are 2 bedrooms in each house. Is there anyone else opposed or undecided? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Alessandro. I live at 70 Edwards Street, which is directly behind this property. We've lived there, as my husband said, for over 18 years, and part of the reason we purchased this property was the privacy that was created in our backyard, which will be completely eliminated. You speak about the drainage not working now. When it rains very hard, there is
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Opposed or undecided? Name and address for the record, come on up. Wait till you get to the mic.
I own the three-family across the street from this property, and I've owned it for about 40 years. And it's really a tight, close, it's a dead end.
Could I have your name and address for the property? I didn't hear it.
12 Lancaster Street.
Okay. Name?
Doreen Tiritico.
Thank you. Go ahead, Doreen. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's quite all right. And it's really a tight road to get anything down. I needed a landscaper to come in, and his truck was too big to come down, so he couldn't get down there. The problem is that if you get too many cars in and out, you can't move down there at all, and hardly ever get the street plowed because it's so small.
They park on both sides of the street or one side? They just park on the street?
Well, that garage used to belong to Cherubini, who I bought the building from, who was the oil man in Quincy. And he had that whole area, and he built for the workers. He had the house that's at the very end was a rooming house.
Oh.
And then he built the garage for his trucks, for the oil. And then he had the house next door to that for other people that were working for him. So he had the whole area. I don't think, it wasn't planned at the time because a lot more cars to come in. But anyway, it would be an improvement on the street instead of the garage. But it may just be a little too large for the area, for the cars in and out. That's all.
Thank you very much, Doreen. Is there anyone else? Opposed or undecided? Second call, third call. All that part of the hearing closed. I don't know, maybe I didn't look at it right. I looked at it like it was a pretty nice project to get rid of that mess up. And put in a nice drainage down here. I mean, it is. Yeah, I wanna take another look at it, because it's just, to me, you get everyone there complaining, I don't know what to complain, when I went up and looked at it, it didn't look like that. Maybe I didn't look around the neighborhood right, I don't know, did you? Did you see
Yeah,
the little,
it's-
little houses? I went up there and I saw this mess that we're trying to clean up, I thought it
Sort
was a
of
good idea.
inundated by what's there. and not-
Yeah,
not-
that's
not-
probably what got my head, like,
Agreed.
get
But
rid
I
of
think
this.
also it'd be good to have a chat with some of with these neighbors.
Well, I can respond to the 3 stories though, because anything that's built there is gonna be 3 stories.
Exactly.
It's 3 stories is not, that we're not requesting a variance for the 3 stories.
Right.
The 3
That's
stories
just
is actually
by
allowed
rights.
by right.
By
And you
rights.
could actually build a much, much larger building on this site
I'm just trying to get my head around.
at 3 stories.
I
You
get
could-
it,
You could,
Counselor.
that whole interior portion could become building.
I get it, Council, I really.
I mean,
get the whole
I don't
thing.
know what a neighborhood meeting's gonna do.
No,
because it's
neighborhood
gonna-
meeting
it's-
isn't. I wanna go look. I just wanna take another look at the neighborhood and see everything that they said changes my mind at all. I'm looking at a big building over there when I come up, a building in, it's all residence B. I mean, the next person is gonna want a bigger one. I know, I get it. It's only 2 bedrooms each. I get that, and I'm glad you did that. I really am. I'm glad you did that, and I think it's nice. I just think 2 weeks, we'll come back 21st. I just need a couple weeks to look at it, and everyone. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. What do you think? Please, everyone, that part's over. That's us now. It's the board's decision. Anyone? Comments?
I have a question for council.
Okay.
Just a clarification, your drawings indicate a height of 31.9.
Yes.
Dimensional requirements, dimensional form
It
indicates.
says 36, right? Yeah.
Mine says 36,
Mine does too.
my colleague says 35, I'm a little confused as to
Yeah,
how.
mine
I-
says 36.
I'll rely on Brian for
Mine
that. I
says
may not have been
36.
able to identify that, but I knew we were within the height limitation.
31, right?
31.9. Thank you.
Which is, I mean, if you build a single-family home, you're allowed to still go
Right, right, 32, right.
Just want to make sure I understood that.
Well, having looked at property, I think Marty has made a good point. I mean, you are kind of dazed and saying, look at this big dumpy old warehouse. And
Yeah.
instead of looking at the actual project, I don't think 2 weeks is furthest one way or the other.
Right, right, I don't think that
I
would hurt
personally
anyone
like it,
taking a
it's a
look.
nice looking, they're only 2 bedrooms, but, if it clarifies everything in everyone's mind, I don't think 2 weeks is.
Right, that it's 32, 31 feet, 9 inches, it's not 36 feet, which,
And maybe the neighbors will take some time to investigate what can go up there by right.
well, it can't. We all know that, it could be, right,
I'm in
Stop.
favor of, postponing it for
2 weeks.
Sure.
Take another look. Have a motion, please, and we'll come back here and vote on it the 24th.
Okay, thank you.
21st, oh gee, 21st.
21st of March.
Yeah.
In case ZBA 23-10 Lancaster Street LLC for a variance to remove the existing commercial warehouse structures and pavement, construct 2 townhouses totaling 4 units on premises number 13 and 15 Lancaster Street. I hereby move that this matter be continued to March the 21st.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
This guy.
We got an case number STR 23-2, Yetchin Hull, for a special permit to operate a short-term rental on the premises number 260 to 262 Southern Arden. The applicant and a representative here. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Yetrin Po. I am the owner and the resident of 260, 262 Southern Artery. It is a residential B zone. It is a 2-family home, which I have owned since 2018, and where I have also brought 2 of my children home to. I am here to apply for a short-term residential permit, an STR, and thank you for your consideration.
How long have you been renting it out now?
Sorry, say again?
How long have you been renting it out?
I haven't been renting it out.
At all?
Short-term rental, I'm applying straight, I've never applied for any short-term rental.
Most people we have
I
done
know,
it for 2
I
years,
know, I
3
saw-
years, now they got no
I
idea.
have never gotten a notice, I've never done
And I
any
just-
short-term rental, I'm doing it by the book.
Okay, so you are the owner?
I am the owner.
Everything in here, Director, everything in here has been checked, correct? Yep. So your electric bill, your gas, and all that stuff is all yours. And what are you gonna rent out there? What are you gonna do for rentals?
What am I gonna do?
Yeah, you're gonna do 1 week a year, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, every week? I don't
Yeah,
know.
most likely it's probably just gonna be 1 week. In fact, Monday to Friday, maybe sometimes weekends. Most of the time it's also really because I travel quite a bit for my work, internationally. So I want the house to be utilized. It's a beautiful house. We put a lot of money into making it nice.
Who's we?
Me and my wife.
I don't know, I'm asking.
My wife, my children.
All right, is your wife home when you're away traveling?
Yep.
Okay, because we like to have the owner around the property.
Yep, absolutely.
When they're renting out to people. Those are my questions, I just wanna make sure someone's home,
You're renting
the owner
it as,
not for months.
you're renting it as the unit, or you're gonna rent rooms within the unit, or what you're planning?
Yeah, well, I would like the option to have both, because my wife will be home, and it's actually, so the way at which our house is structured is a 2-family, but the upstairs unit has actually 2 floors. The attic is finished. So it's actually quite big. It's 4 bedroom, but technically it's 5 bedroom. There's an armoire, that's not a built-in closet per se. So there's quite a big space, so we would like to be able to utilize it even if we are around or when we are not around.
Questions?
Clarification.
Yeah?
Can you rent the whole unit? And you can also rent rooms in the units?
In the unit?
In the unit that they live in, they could rent a room in
Yeah,
that
short-term
unit.
rental, they can
or
rent
they
it
could
out
rent
30 days or less, correct?
And then they could also rent the entire unit on the second.
But short-term rental's 30 days or less, so we can't say you're gonna stay here 3 months.
No, 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 but
30
I'm-
days or less, that you can rent either, right.
So how many people would you rent to at a time?
But what was confusing me is if he was coming in just for the two-family, for the second floor, or if he's coming in to rent the second floor and rooms in the first floor.
In the attic, I think what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
Are you
it's
asking
two
for both-
floors.
You asking for permission for both rooms and the second and third floor?
First.
Well, no, like either the whole unit or individual rooms. You know, so if my whole family's out, I can just let people use the whole unit, but most of the time it's probably gonna be like, hey, you can use
All right,
part of
get
the
back
house.
to when you're gone. What do you
Yeah.
mean when we're gone?
Like, let's say if I were to take my family on one of my business trips, it's most of the time Monday to Friday. I try to be back for the weekend because of soccer.
The
and
same
things
week?
like- Yeah.
So you only leave for a
Oh,
day?
yeah, yeah.
You don't leave for like 3 months?
No.
Well,
My
some
kid
people do.
goes to school. Yeah,
Right, some people do though, you know.
yeah, no.
All right, all right.
Okay, now I just
So
want a
no,
clarification.
yeah. So,
I just want a clarification
Right.
on the unit, if
and
he
it
was
has
just
to
gonna
be
rent the unit.
short-term rental, you know?
No, I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if it,
Right, if he rents
just the whole
rooms,
unit was
right.
gonna be rented, or if it was the whole unit plus rooms in the other unit.
Yeah, no, it's, the other unit's rented all the time, correct?
Yes.
So we're talking about your unit.
Yes.
You're gonna have someone go up to the second floor, the third floor probably,
Yeah,
to rent that first?
yeah,
Okay, that's the attic.
yeah. Which is part of the second unit.
And
Right,
second floor.
right,
the
but
other
you live
apartment is
there too,
rented
correct?
permanently.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
okay.
Now, you live there too,
I live there too. Yes.
so you're just gonna, let me get what we're doing. Your apartment's second and third floor,
Yes,
that's your apartment right now.
that's right.
So they're gonna walk in your house and rent a room or 2 rooms?
Yeah,
All right. And it depends what you're doing.
yeah.
All right.
They don't have much
And then
parking.
you know who's gonna, the city's coming in, the fire department will come in, take a
Yep.
look.
In fact, it was just
All
brand new
enclosed.
renovated, so it was just inspected last year. So it's, I have no concerns about any of that.
No, I'm just letting you know, and you know, the health department, they all come through, they're gonna take
Absolutely,
their
absolutely.
little tour. Any
Sorry,
other
you were
questions,
asking
guys?
about parking?
Yeah, how many parking spaces do you have?
So there are 3 parking spaces plus a garage for the entire building.
Thank you.
So do you have one designated is gonna be for the person who comes in?
Yep, it's in the submission
All
and
right,
the
I
drawings.
saw
there,
it, I
yeah.
just wanted to know if that's
Yes.
your plan, okay. Any other questions, guys?
I'm
No?
good, thank you.
All right, you can have a seat. Does anyone want to speak in favor? First call? Second call? Third call? We got a letter here from the DPW. We reviewed the above referenced matter and have no comments. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call? Second call? Come on, comment. Undecided.
I was just looking at the picture, and there's a 264 house that's in the back. It looks like there's a common driveway that they share. You know, so, I mean, it almost looks like
Goes around.
it's hard for them to even get over their back. So let's say if someone lives in that house, they know about rules. But when you do Airbnb, those people tend to not really care as much about what the rules are
The
and
city has
whatever.
a designated spot for the rentals. The renters have a designated spot.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, I'm just kind of speaking for the poor person who lives in 264 that somehow isn't here tonight.
Yeah.
It's obviously gonna make their life more miserable, but
No,
I
it
just
ain't,
feel bad
because
for
they're
them.
his parking spaces. They're his, behind his house. He has those 3.
Right, well, like I said,
Nothing's gonna change.
There's a driveway in front of the other place, too,
Right.
John.
There's a driveway in front of 264, and they can park over there, and they can park along the side of the house. That's the way they park.
okay. Well, like I said, it's not like I'm against it. I
No,
I
I'm
believe.
trying to say, there is parking.
I mean, it's
We
in
all go there and
residential
look at the
B, I'm
property.
for, I'm actually, I'm for, Airbnb. I think that people should be allowed to use Airbnb to help pay for their property taxes, so,
Except for Residence A.
except in Residence A, of course, unless it's my house in Residence A.
Except for Greg.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else opposed or undecided? Second call, third call upon the hearing closed, I'll be voting in favor.
I'm in favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Agreed.
May I have a motion, please?
In
Mr. Frank.
case number STR 23-2, Yenchen Ho for a special permit to operate the short-term rental on the premises number 260-262 Southern Artery, Quincy. I hereby move that the special permit be allowed.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So moved. Motion adjourned, all in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Ooh.
Opposed? So moved. Good luck.